Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm with the most wonderful Luci Morgan, who is an estate agent from near Southampton, who after 15 years of being in corporate and independent estate agency, decided to make the bold move of becoming a self-employed agent. Hi, Luci. Thank you for joining me
Hello.
today. What I'd like to
That's okay.
do, what I'd like to do is spend the next 10, 15 minutes talking to you about your story, why you became an agent, why you became disillusioned with being an estate agent, both in corporate and independent land, and why you decided to become a self-employed agent. But I want both good and bad, if you don't mind, because it isn't a bed of roses. So firstly, my love, what I'd like to ask you first is when did you become an estate agent, please?
I became an estate agent in January 2004.
Okay, and was that with a corporate or an independent?
Correct. It was for a corporate agent. Yeah.
Corporate agent. And was that net negotiating?
Yeah, that's my first estate agency role. So, yeah.
Okay, was it your first ever job or?
No, I'd been working since I was 16. No, I was a travel agent before, but yeah, I
So
became an agent.
what made you want to be an estate agent, or did you just fall into it?
I just fell into it, to be honest. There was a sign in the shop window, and I just went for it.
Okay, so you're walking to Greg's every day to get your sandwich, and you walk past an estate agents and saw a sign in. I think most people watching this kind of fell into estate agency.
Yeah.
Did you have any preconceptions about what being an estate agent was?
No, not at all. I was only about 20. Well, I was 23 at the time, so yeah, no, not at all.
Okay, so
Nope.
would it be fair to say, because I know we've had a chat, that you're a very passionate estate agent.
Yeah.
Did you think at the time it was just another job at that point? Do you think?
No, I took this role very seriously. To be honest, I've taken all my work roles seriously. It was a profession that I was really keen to get into, and I just felt as if it was just a passion of mine right from the day one. Yeah.
Okay, so you were a neg for 4 years
Hmm.
with a corporate. What was the best thing about being a neg in between
Um,
2004 and 2008? Which, let's be honest, there were good times.
they were very good times. I think, to be fair, I was the top sales negotiator for many years running. It was just really the recognition, the awards. It was a bit of a glamorous role as well, to be fair. And yeah, and the money. I was earning good money. I was earning good money doing cross sales. I was a top mortgage appointment introducer as well. So yeah, they were very good times.
And when did you go? When did you start valuing property?
I started valuing property when I then joined an independent estate agent.
So that was in 2008, because you got poached for
Hmm.
that, didn't you? How did that make you feel when you got poached?
Yeah, again, everyone likes to be headhunted, obviously. It's quite a flattering thing to happen to you. And yeah, I just felt working for an independent, you had more flexibility within your job role and what you're able to do, obviously, as opposed to, I found, being with a corporate, you tend to get pigeonholed into separate roles and not necessarily developed as much as what I feel that you are able to do whilst working for an independent.
Okay, so you were independent for 2 years, if memory serves you well, during between 08 and 2010, when the housing market did go a little bit dodgy. Uh,
Yeah.
how did you adapt to that housing market?
Um, well, to be honest, the only way that we could adapt working for the company at the time was effectively to get into letting. So you had to adapt your skills and become a lettings negotiator, because effectively the sales weren't necessarily there, and I weren't worth the money they were paying me in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I then rented my property out, moved in with my mum, saved a bit of money, and then went travelling.
Okay, so uh, you went back into a state agency because I know you
Yeah.
went travelling a bit in 2010, but then the countrywide area boss rang you up. How
Yeah.
did that make you feel that someone rang you in New Zealand to offer you a job?
It is very flattering, and it's nice to know that you've obviously got that reputation within the work field. And I'm going to be honest, not that I want to sound big-headed, but I've never had to go for a job. I've never had to write a CV. I've always been approached, and it's nice. It's a nice feeling.
Okay, okay. So in 2016, you had your first child. What's the name of your first child?
Santino.
Excellent. What a lovely name that is. Um, did you
Thank
have
you.
any intentions to go back to work after 2006, after you'd had the baby?
I did, but not necessarily full time. I wasn't prepared to go back full time because I, I I wanted to be at home with my child as well.
And I know you were working for a corporate at that point. Let's be honest, corporates have not got the best reputation of having part-time, especially
Nope,
senior roles.
not at all.
So,
Correct.
what did you go into then? Was it sales progression with an independent?
It was sales progression, yeah. I mean, obviously, I would have liked to have gone back to the corporate agent that I was working for because I'd made £250,000 profit, which was the most profit that office had ever made in its whole history of being on the high street. And I did feel that they should have had some level of flexibility there, but they didn't, unfortunately. So I went in as a sales progressor for an independent
How
for
did that
about 3 months.
How did that make you feel that you were star valuer manager,
Yeah.
the queen of all you possessed in that part of
Yeah.
Southampton, to some people would almost be 3 steps down? How did that make you feel?
In all fairness, it was okay because all I was interested in at the time was making sure that the hours fitted around my son. He was more important to me at that moment in time because they come first, in my opinion.
How do you balance the running a family and your children versus the job, because you're a very passionate estate agent? How were you balancing that? I know you had a second child, which we'll come on to a second, but at that point,
Yeah.
how were you balancing that in your mind? Because you almost you've got two things fighting. You've got your children who
Yeah.
need their mother, and you've got that drug of being in business that you got to do the deals.
Yeah, I mean, it is an adaptation. You have to adapt. You have to adapt because, up until the age of 35 years of age, I was a top career saleswoman. So having to effectively step down to become a mother, it is a very, very difficult transitional period, but you just find a way around it, and we're great at multitasking. So obviously it's it was fine. It worked out really well.
Did you miss the thrill of the chase and doing the deal?
I did, but in all fairness, because I was doing the sales progression, I got the passion out of pushing the deals through, and obviously then earning a percentage commission off the bankings that I was putting in.
So you were the Southampton's best sales progressor. Then we could do that. Now, now I know you didn't spend long there because it was an absolute. You went to join so you went back to a corporate in 2017. But you had your child. You had another child in 2018. Isn't that about right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your second child called then?
Rosa.
You had to think about that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Bless her.
Okay. Yeah. Had you any plans to come back to a state agency after Rosa?
Well, obviously going from an independent, I was then approached by another corporate to go and work for them, and then fell pregnant a few months later. So after leaving that particular corporate estate agent, not that agent, but I still wanted to be in a estate agency. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, with that particular agent, I left making the most profit that office has made in the last 5 years. When I joined it, it had made 7,000, and when I left it, I turned over 123,000.
That's really good. Well done.
On part-time hours.
Do you think the independent would have had you back part-time with your 2 kids?
Yes, but in that particular independent agent, I wasn't prepared to go back to.
Very good. So you got to 2019, and the bug of a state agency was beginning to flick at you.
I was on maternity for a lot of it.
Had you ever considered self-employed agency?
No, I hadn't, but my area director at the time, just before I went on maternity in 2019, did say to me, you need to go self-employed.
Is that because you're almost that you're not very good at you're a square peg in a round hole, and you know you don't fit the corporate. And don't get me wrong, against corporate, I worked for Halifax for years, but you do
Yeah.
have to fit a certain criteria. I know there's a bit of movement, but so you hadn't considered self-employed agency now, but self-employed agency is quite a scary thing.
Yeah.
What did your husband or partner think to that?
Well, I don't have one, so which is a good thing because I don't have anybody to run it past apart from myself. So, which is how I like it anyway.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Watkins put his foot in it. Probably should have found that out before, but you don't like to ask a lady, do you? But never mind.
Don't worry about it.
No, thank you. But joking aside,
Yeah.
must have had some fears.
I did, obviously, because I've always been used to a regular income on a monthly basis. But in all fairness, the flexibility around my family life was more important again. And the fact that it is way more flexible than working in the corporate field or on the high street is
But
the best decision I've ever made.
Weren't you worried about paying your rent or mortgage?
Not necessarily, because I do have other ways of being able to pay that.
So, but surely you were scared to make that first jump. You know, you went to see Celeste at Hamilton Parker, which is an agent on the outskirts of Southampton.
Yeah.
You must have had some reservations because there's plenty of agents
I think,
out there.
in all fairness, yeah, I mean, to be honest, Chris, in all fairness, I think you get to a time in your life. I mean, I'm approaching 40 in October, so you get to a time.
You're not.
I am, darling. So you get to a point in your life where you think to yourself, actually, I know I can do this. And in all fairness, I know I can do it a lot better than the area directors that I've worked for in the past. So why am I lining somebody else's pocket when I know that I can line my own and be my own boss?
What would you say to any decent valuer out there who is, you know, not enjoying their job with the independent or the corporate?
Yeah.
You know,
in all fairness, just make the move. I'm not a particularly lover of change. I do like structure and consistency, but again, this was the best move I'd ever made. Me and Celeste were doing the self-employed role as of January. I do feel this was before COVID-19. I do feel now, since this has happened, I've actually been approached last week by 2 managers who are running corporate estate agents at the moment, who are in the processes of thinking seriously about making the move and coming on board with ourselves.
I mean, one of the things which I find very strange with self, you don't seem to have this. I don't think you'll have this problem, but you have to generate your own business, which actually means picking the phone up, and God forbid, I know we can't do it in COVID, but that'll change.
Yep.
Now, door knocking, you know, how have you got over your fear of rejection? Or have you had it?
Not really.
What would you say to somebody, you know, because that's what's holding them back. I talk to so many self-employed agency bosses. I know they're not bosses, but you know, the leader of the gang, and they say they employ these self-employed valuers, but they haven't got awareness, they haven't got the drive, they expect valuations to be delivered on a plate to them, that they are, God forbid, that they have to go generate their own business, because you have to generate every single one. What advice would you give to people to get over that?
Just to give you a little bit of an insight where I'm at, I started obviously in January, and I'm in the process of moving and renovating a property and having to live in a flat with my 2 small children. So I haven't really had a huge amount of time to go out and knock on doors. I would say I've probably knocked on about 5 or 6 doors since February. And then obviously, because then when COVID-19 hit, you're not able to do that anyway. All my business, I've got 4 take-ons next week, have all come from word of mouth and online inquiry, like social media. That's where it's all come from. It's thinking outside the box and being more personable with that client, and they love it. I
mean, what tips and advice would you give to anyone who is sitting on the fence saying, should I do this or not?
I know full well that you can do this job you don't have to sit in an office. You can do it on the go. You can literally be out doing whatever you want to do. I start at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I start at 5 o'clock in the morning. I catch up on all my paperwork, all my administration, and do a lot of touting. Then you've got the day to yourself. If you wish to take the day to yourself, the beauty of being self-employed and the fact that you're out doing what you want to do in your personal life, but you can still earn business, you can still generate business, and you can still book those viewings because they come straight to your phone, is liberating. It's great. I love it.
And what thing do you like about Celeste?
Sorry?
What do you love about Celeste?
What you see is what you get. Exactly the same as me.
Okay.
Which is quite rare for me to like a female, to be honest. in that sort of in the estate agency field. But yeah, no, she's brilliant. She's really, really switched on. Really good.
So what's your plans for the next couple of years then, to, as an agent? Where do you
Pay
see
my
yourself?
mortgage off.
Say again?
Pay my mortgage off.
Okay. What else?
Pay my car. Pay my holiday home that I've just bought before lockdown. Just get and just go up and up and up. Just build and expand and grow. And it's there for the taking. It's there for the taking.
One final question. Tell me why, look me in the eye. Tell me why you love being an estate agent.
I absolutely love helping people and dealing with all their inquiries and helping them move and getting them to where they want to go throughout the journey from start to finish, because they deal with me from start to finish. And yeah, it's a really it's a really satisfying feeling.
That's your car.
That's my car. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. Lucy, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you for your time today. I'm sure if anyone wants to pick up the phone to Lucy, you'll find her on. Are you on LinkedIn or Facebook?
I sure am. Yeah.
So that's Lucy with an I, and
correct.
And we'll tag her on that. And then if you want to find any more information about Hamilton Parker, give Celeste a call. At the end of this video, there will be a YouTube link to all the self-employed estate agent videos. There's over 50 of them. So we've got other stories of other agents if you want to find out what their story is. I'm on a mission to help all the UK estate letting agents find their happiness. Self-employed estate agency is an option. I must stress to you though, and I think you'll agree with me, Lucy, it's not the be all and end all. You have to get off your backside. You have to go do some hard work. You have to meet your demons. You have to use social media, video. You do have to go door knocking. I don't care. You do have to do all these things. But
you've got belief in yourself, Chris. You won't have a problem.
You've been an absolute star today, Lucy. Thank you for your time.
Take care, Chris.
Cheers.